So you're here today for one of two reasons. Either you already grow begonias, there's one, you love them and you want to wallow in your wise choice and enjoy looking at some terrific plants that you might want to grow for yourself. Or you're one of the uninitiated who thinks begonias are rather boring and gaudy bedding plants we see planted in parks and on traffic islands during the summer months. Either way, I've got you covered. By the end of this video, you'll know what they actually are and why you really should give them a try in your house, your greenhouse, or in my case, both. Let's get started. And we are in. Okay, so I have 7 reasons today as to why you should grow begonias. There are many more reasons than 7, of course, but how long do you have? Not long? Thought so. Let's get to it then. Reason number 1. Begonias are a single genus of plant from all over the tropical and subtropical parts of the world. Single genus they might be, but don't let that fool you because the variety in appearance, growth habit, colour, form and pretty much everything else is vast, and that's before we get into the hybrids. But allow me to clear up the main misconception that people from my own country have, that begonias always look like this. Now, I've nothing against these types, although they're not to my tastes. They are tuberous begonias or semperflorens begonias. That's just 2 of the many loose groupings of the plants. But for growing in the house, we need to set our sight a lot further. According to the American Begonia Society, there are roughly 7 groupings of begonias and they're all very different. And there are some begonias that don't neatly fit into any of these groups at all. It's beyond the scope of this video to get into what these groups are, but I think you need to understand that fact before we move on. These groups cover begonias ranging from upright to compact, to small leaved, to large leaved, to palmate, to shrub, to trailing. The list really does go on. There is something to suit every taste and botanists are discovering new species all the time. Currently the number stands at around 2,000. But the hybrids now number into the tens of thousands and new ones are being introduced annually. So don't think you know begonias if you're only familiar with those planted as summer bedding. And for my second reason, I love flowers and I know I'm not alone in that. There's something even more special when those flowers only appear once a year. Consider, for example, a phalaenopsis or a moth orchid. I love them like many people do, but when you're into the 6th month of looking at the same blooms, they kind of lose some of their appeal. There's something all the more special when blooms appear less frequently. Think of cherry blossom, that's another great example. Glorious, but ephemeral. So if you grow plants that only bloom infrequently, what do you have to look at for the rest of the year while you wait? Well, for me, it's the foliage. Unless a plant has great foliage, it's unlikely to find a place in my house where space is limited. I need something back while I wait for the blooms, and begonias are the kings and the queens of foliage. And when they do bloom, usually every few weeks in the right conditions, you get double the pleasure. So for reason number 3, living in the north of the UK, we are blessed with less than ideal light levels for tropical plants, which is, let's face it, what houseplants actually are. But when, like me, you live under 250-year-old trees and are north-facing too, then you better grow plants that don't mind lower light levels. Begonias, with the exception of tuberous and semperflorens, are not sun lovers. In fact, many naturally grow in the understory of forests. Great news for us. That doesn't mean, of course, that you should avoid giving them bright light. Give them as much as you can, just not direct sun through glass. But if they'll grow for me in my low light situation, then they should grow well for pretty much anybody unless you live in a cave. And as an extra bonus, many will tolerate lower levels of humidity. They actually can adapt to lower levels of humidity in a house. So reason number 4, one of the reasons why Tradescantia plants are so popular is that once you have one, it's child's play to make more of them, so you never have to run out. Begonias are very similar in that they're so easy to propagate. In fact, that should be the first thing you do on purchasing one. There are so many ways to do it. I even have a demo video of several methods which I link to in the description. So for my 5th reason, you have a begonia and it's gone crazy. It's growing huge and it's practically falling out of the pot. It happens to me all the time. Maybe it's a cane type that's grown too tall, or it's a rhizomatous begonia that's crept out from the side of its pot and it won't stand upright. In both cases, you need not be troubled, as most begonias can be pruned back hard, resulting in new, tidier growth and leaving you loads of material for propagating. So reason number 6. I don't know about you, but although I love my plants, I'm no great fan of watering. I don't really want to be a slave to a daily chore. I want to observe them and enjoy them as I walk past, but don't want to be hanging onto their every whim. Fortunately, many begonias actually prefer to be on the dry side. Many houseplants are based on rhizomatous species, meaning they already have a store of water, so they don't need frequent watering to the point of it becoming a hassle. Rex begonias, also a popular houseplant type, they too prefer to dry out before being rewatered. And for reason number 7, I don't know how true this is, but the general consensus is that begonias can filter out the air in your home and therefore improve the air quality. Apparently they do this by taking in impurities during photosynthesis and giving back oxygen as a byproduct. It's possible that nobody's actually studied this, but it's worth bearing in mind as it would be cool if it's true. So for my final reason to grow begonias in your homes, I asked my subscribers what they thought, and these were just some of their comments. So if you've heard all my reasons and those of my subscribers and you've seen my plants but you simply don't see anything you like, then I failed in my mission and I'm afraid you're a lost cause. But if something did tickle your fancy, then before you take the plunge and make a purchase of your favourite, you'll want to see a tour of some of the varieties I was growing last summer. And this video shows you just that. I'll see you on the next one. Bye!